Thank you all for being here. I'll talk loudly in an excited fashion so that you can all, stay in touch and stay awake. This is being streamed, and I just want to tell the streaming audience, it's standing room only in here right now. It's amazing, the people that have come up to visit with me, especially. But let's talk about convergence. It's just something we're seeing. So 2019, I was here up on stage, and it was just the very beginning of what we were seeing happening in architecture. And 3 years later, back here, the world has changed quite a bit, but also the adoption of real-time has completely changed. And so I'm going to share a little bit with that with you and have this subject of convergence. So I don't know, maybe somebody here doesn't know who Epic Games is. So just want to help you. Fortnite, probably heard of that. And Unreal Engine 5, I think a lot of people have heard of Unreal Engine 5. Those are probably the two building blocks powering Epic. And there's a lot more we've acquired in the last 3 years. I think we've acquired 4 or 5 companies, built out our ecosystem, lots more coming, but I'm not going to talk about that today. So transforming industries is really what you see happening. Architecture, I'm leading that with a team, but there's also other teams in automotive and Hollywood, and I'm just going to show you a brief video on how BMW is transforming their processes using real-time technology. It really is a game changer, and we hear that term over and over for the firms we work with. So let's see how, and this is an internal video that BMW prepared.
So I use Unreal Engine in my work for visualization things. We can show everyone who's involved different solutions for problems. Then everyone is able to imagine what will happen in the real car. We were able to show the designers what we did, and they had the same quality like before in the meetings. They were able to move into the car and show me which perspective they meant if they had something like they didn't like. That was really cool.
We are having a very big structural changes in our plants. We are implementing the new model E4 with 2D tools like on a paper or PDF. We were forgetting, for example, a scanner or a screwdriver. We have the possibility now really to build up exactly everything how it's going to be. It's giving us the opportunity to be a communication tool. For example, Teams meetings, I can open my project, and together with the process plan and the logistic planner, we can try out new alternatives, and we can optimize the planning status in the early phase. This is saving us time and costs also.
We have less customers in our showrooms. Yeah, that's why it's very important to have another way to show our customers the different cars, different options, different colors. Eve is emotional virtual experience. We use it all time, every day, to show our customers our stock cars with the options, or calculate or configure a new car.
Gives you a good idea of how automotives, and many of them, are moving towards adoption of real-time across their enterprise. Mandalorian, some of you may be aware that we were instrumental, Unreal Engine, in pioneering virtual production. There's a class now of workflows called IC-VFX, so in-camera VFX. And it's, we've sponsored lots of students to start into this area. There's over 500 virtual production stages in the world. So it's in the last 3 years, it's been a dramatic explosion of changing how episodics and films can be made.
Part of what's been fun about collaborating on The Mandalorian with Lucasfilm and Disney is that we have been able to see through a few technical innovations and a few firsts that I think are going to have a lot of impact on the way television and movies are made moving forward. In partnership with ILM and Epic, we have put together a system whereby which we can have game engine, real-time render, and video wall technology coming together to create a backdrop for the big, beautiful world of Star Wars.
The volume is 21 feet tall, it's 75 feet in diameter, run by 7 machines, pumping the visuals onto the screen that's being created in pre-production and can be on the screen within 24 hours of being finaled.
You can allow your key creatives to all make decisions together so that the shots are captured entirely in camera, which allows for a better performance.
With Star Wars, we're building on a rich legacy of innovation, and getting to partner with Jon Favreau to make his ambitious vision a reality, it's really a game changer for filmmaking.
So it's one of our probably best examples of transformation. How many of you here have heard of the holodeck? Do you know what that is? Okay. So it's a Star Trek thing, and it was the idea that you'd have this space that you walk into and it transforms into a physical reality. We're not quite there yet, but this is about convergence, so we're on that path, and that's probably like one of the first steps towards the holodeck. What about architecture? Over the last 3 years, Rob and I have been working with these firms to help them understand how to take advantage of real time. I talk to many of you, I see many of you out there. It's been a great adventure working with you collaboratively to figure this stuff out. There's lots more still to do. I'm going to just show some examples for those of you unfamiliar. One of the things that sets Unreal Engine apart is the fidelity and scale, I would say. The ability to bring projects to life at photorealism in real time and the ability to handle scale. So not just residences, but cities. And being able to present those cities in different ways, either using like a digital twin approach. This is a project from, that was a project from Australia. Lots of exploration of taking BIM assets, digital assets, aggregating them in Unreal Engine, and then presenting them various methods to either communicate the complexity and making it simple, and just bringing this world to life. I like to say it's often we're building time machines. We're allowing you to build the future and visit it through the use of these immersive technologies. So digital twins, you've heard the buzzword. It's really the first step, I think, in our journey to the metaverse. And I say that because it's trying to allow you to take a digital replica, bring it into and experience it along with abstract data. The point I want to make out about it is that Unreal Engine is actually a small part of the problem. The data management and storage and maintenance is the bigger part of the problem, and we're not trying to solve that problem for you. We're trying to give you easy ways to get your data in and visualize. So we want to be the front end on very complex digital worlds, and I'll show a few more experiments that customers are doing. So here's WSP. This is actually something you can download from our marketplace. It's a free project that you can see how to use a digital twin with AWS. Tackling projects at all different scales. This is operationally deployed. What we're showing you are not mock-ups or proof of concepts. In general, they are actually deployed experiences. 51 Worlds, they're one of the experts. They have done hundreds of digital twins. They're based in China. Build Media has done this wonderful Auckland, Wellington presentation of public data. And it's used by the New Zealand Council. And then here's a short one of the Port of Busan in Korea using Unreal Engine. Like the applications of digital twins are, millions. There's so many flavors of what a digital twin could be. I think it's a great area for startups to investigate and try to understand it, because like in buildings, I was at the ULI Urban Land Institute conference, and they were talking about the importance of having digital twin be something you hand over when you transfer a building. Like that increases the value of the building versus pointing them to a room full of documents. They said those days are gone. You're going to need to now equip a building with a digital twin and maintain it to get the most value out of your investment. So that's exciting things to see happen. We just finished a research project with Forrester, and there was 389 AEC people in it. And this is what they're telling us. You know, the need to manage the complex is a key driver, along with the need to communicate that complexity simply. So those are really the things that resonated the most with those involved in AEC. The metaverse, you know, the latest buzzword. There's so much going on with it. It's currently kind of in a financial decline. If you've been monitoring, cryptocurrency and all those craziness, the NFT stuff. But the reason I'm talking about it is that Epic is on a journey to the metaverse. So you should probably know that about us. We see that, and our CEO has been very upfront about the metaverse being the destination for Epic customers. So how can you take advantage of that? So what is a metaverse? Let's start by just talking about these are the 4 things that we expect you to find in a metaverse, at least metaverse that we would call one. So, you know, I don't think there's anything maybe surprising there. We expect to give you things like a commercial platform so that you can monetize your project, but also, you know, some level of moderation and behavioral stuff has to be part of a metaverse. Otherwise, it's kind of chaos. Oh, I might have mentioned it has to be 3D. You know, a metaverse that is 2D, what is that? It's not a metaverse in our book. It's going to be built on Fortnite technology. At least we're building something on Fortnite technology that we already have, you know, scaled to 600 million people. 15 million people concurrently involved in playing Fortnite. So we have a lot of expertise on these big problems that have to be solved for the metaverse to exist. So our vision for it is that it should be a place where things are fair and open, a place that, you know, you can trust. If you know Fortnite at all, you know that it's very family friendly. We don't collect data, we don't harvest data, we don't do any of those things. Our CEO believes those are all bad things to do. We want to be a place where if you want to engage with a brand, let's say Ferrari or BMW, it's a place where you could do that, but it's on your terms, not theirs. So I think it's really about an open place for experiences to occur. What about architecture? Well, I think Maya Lin, I've used this quote before, but it's really reinforcing the idea of experience as a part of the process of architecture. And I think you look at the core of what we're doing, it's experiential, right? It's not that, yes, you can use Unreal Engine or Twinmotion to create a static image, but you can also use it to create an experience. And I think that is really a vital component, because this is where the time machine comes into. You can step inside these worlds and experience it as if it was built. And I think that time machine component allows you to learn things about that future and bring it to the current time. Lots of experiments going on in the metaverse. The list is much longer than this, what architectural firms are trying to do. I just wanted to point a few out. There's like this organization called SOFA, trying to use NFTs and associating it with design work. So an architect can sell their designs using NFT. We're just talking about the first NFT house, $500,000 built in Unreal. Liberland with Zaha Hadid. I don't know if Zaha is here, but the team there is pioneering the idea of building a city, actually a country, in a metaverse. Big, using Decentraland. I'm going to talk about Cornerstone Land in a second. And then Chop Architects recently got in the NFT business with these ideas of a habitat, and they're using Twinmotion to express what those habitats are. This is Zoan's Cornerstone Land, and I think to me, it's more the future of the metaverse, a high-fidelity world that you can experience at scale. So it's distinct, using our MetaHumans tool to bring people, using our Quixel assets to create a realistic world. These, I think, are much richer, interesting metaverses to explore. And they're selling land on these places, and it's a big experiment, but at least I think they're doing it in a very principled way with their approach. And it's one of the more interesting experiments that we're watching. So I encourage you to reach out to them if you have interest in seeing what they can do for you. We surveyed the architectural people in our research project, and 74%, see it as something they want to be part of in terms of building a branded experience, whatever that means to them. And that's much higher than I expected, but I think there's a lot of, enthusiasm for the concept, even though there isn't maybe a lot of clarity on where it's all going. We're here to help you with figuring out your metaverse strategy. So, we got a booth. If you wanted to start talking about us, it's a longer conversation that can happen in a few minutes. But we can help you at least understand how we could be a part of going down this path. This is the slide, just helps you understand our ecosystem. We talk about having Twinmotion as a starting point for your journey in real time, and mainly because it gathers the rest of our ecosystem in, and you can use it in Unreal Engine. So Twinmotion, super easy to work with. You can start in Twinmotion, open the project in Unreal Engine, and finish it. And that's a very unique value proposition. A lot of companies value that idea, that it's not a black box where I'm limited by the tools. Twinmotion is a starting point, not an ending point. Unreal Engine 5 just came out in the last few months ago. And one of the projects we did was Matrix Awakens, where we're pushing the limits of scale with real time. And we invented a bunch of tech to help create this city scale place that you could, and today you can download this sample for free off our site and experience it yourself. It's a big download though. It's 130 gigabytes or something. But the idea is we're showing you it is possible to have this level of fidelity and interaction, and let you explore, what future use cases that might represent for you. So 2 stats here. One is a lot of people in firms using real time are seeing it being a career motivator. It differentiates the firm. It helps with employee retention. And so not too surprisingly, there's a lot of firms planning to hire people in the real time with real-time skills. I know the firms that we work with, they're looking for at least half a dozen, if not more. It's one of the most common requests we have. Do you know somebody that knows Unreal? So it's a great career move if any of you are thinking of expanding your skills. My favorite quote, so really I think we are the future. It's here, it's downloadable, it's free. Please be part of changing reality. Thank you. I think we'll take questions. Do we have time?
Yeah. So I think there's quite an interesting thing going on with software and hardware providers in this. I mean, you've got NVIDIA with Omniverse, which is kind of hardware GPU sales, but they're doing a hell of a lot more software development than I think anyone ever really expected. which is that somewhat stepping on your toes or on Autodesk's toes and the kind of typical software industry?
I think it's controversial, maybe a bit, what Omniverse is trying to do, but the good news, you're not forced into any camp because NVIDIA provides a Omniverse for Unreal plugin. So, we're certainly part of that workflow. We've been part of USD before Omniverse, so we adopted USD support to support the ILMs and the PixArts. That was already a thing that we were doing, and we're committed to USD. So I think we are, again, trying to be very open about bringing data in. Omniverse is a big investment, and it's still maybe more of there's a lot of hype around it. I haven't seen too many people actually using it day to day. I've seen experiments in using it.
There's a lot of promise in Omniverse beyond just being a rendering tool.
Yes.
And I haven't really seen many of those cases. And many of the AEC software development firms, whether it be Graphisoft or Bentley, for instance, are mainly using it just as a renderer. They're not. There's nothing special about it. It's just we support that. So it's kind of interesting for me to see how that's going to evolve. But in the typical software world, which we're used to, where you're not really aligned to any specific hardware, you've got this kind of, is it a gorilla coming or is it?
Look, I think it's more options for people. It purports to solve a very fundamental problem of how do I cooperate and collaborate. So we're also working on solutions to that, and I don't know how much of it is public. So
we don't mind.
But later this year, we'll certainly have collaborative solutions more than what we already do.
And of course, we have to thank NVIDIA for RTX, which has given us a major boost.
Yeah, our path tracer that we released is, we've seen huge adoption around just that feature, and GPUs required for that.
Has anyone any questions for Ken? Yeah. Ooh.
Hey Ken, it's Eduardo from Bentley Systems, since it was just mentioned. So one of the absolutely amazing things in your latest release is you're getting closer to reality, right?
Yes.
Collecting context from the real world, which we also do, other companies do. So can you tell us a little bit more about your vision on collecting that data and meshing that data into the digital world?
Yeah, so I think the idea is that we certainly, and we're not the only ones with it, but to aggregate data, collect the metadata associated with it. We're trying to build bridges with iTwin, which is a very similar agenda, and I think there's opportunity for us to work closer together on those agendas. But the idea is break down all the barriers to getting the data into the world. Let's first solve that hard problem, and then give you tools that make it easy for you to pursue your imagination as to what you're trying to communicate or figure out. We see, we work with companies building nuclear power stations, and they're trying to figure out, can this retrofit of this thing fit through that doorway? And there's not a lot of, they need very ad hoc exploration, but they need also a certain level of precision, a certain level of scale, a certain level of interactivity to pull that all off. So I think we see ourselves as just this aggregation point to build then an unlimited number of experiences.
Any other questions? I'd like to ask about financial rewards with Metaverse. Far be it for me to say it's Emperor's New Clothes or anything negative.
Yeah.
But do you have any...
Yeah.
Oh, good. Specific things you can tell us about people who have actually made money from it?
Yes. So, Zoe and Cornerstone, for example, they... what I can tell you is that they were public about how much they priced their first... I think they were maybe 10 slots of land or parcels. It was like $8,000, and they sold out in 2 hours. Then their next one was a month later, and they were over 10 times the expense. They sold out. So there's an appetite, whether smart, who knows, around the metaverse and NFTs that we don't fully understand. Maybe we know too much, and we can be very critical of it because but
I think I'd like to see a time when an architectural practice or an AEC construction firm could point to, we made money from doing that.
Yeah.
I think the kind of examples you've given are the people who are selling tools for the gold rush still.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point.
And
yeah,
I know Sarah's had a lot of people from her Disrupt conference talking about metaverse and.
Patrick actually said that he makes money in the metaverse.
Oh.
Sorry, I was itching to say that. Patrick Schumacher spoke at Disrupt, and we asked him that question, what's the money-making potential in the metaverse? And he mentioned that they're pricing the projects identically to physical projects. So if a client comes through and they want anything designed, it's very similar pricing. And they are growing the team right now to build more in the metaverse because there is a need. There's indeed a lot of clients coming through and asking for projects. So.
Yeah, I think we want architects to be designing the spaces of the metaverse. That's my agenda. I'll be upfront about it. I think there's a massive potential there to populate the metaverse with well-designed structures versus some of the things we've seen so far.
I think the only thing I thought of that would be useful is if there is a landscape, a beautiful landscape, and if you think about all the competitions that architectural firms enter and then maybe they don't win, and all the designs that they go through, where's the place where designs go to die? And you've done all that work and you've spent all that money, then maybe the metaverse is the place where they live on forever, and it's kind of like the heaven for designs that didn't quite make it.
No, we've had conversations with Foster and others about some of their not built projects, and I think it's waiting for us to, populate a Fortnite creative island with some of these things that are just amazing. They just didn't get built, So there's a lot of that creativity that's just locked up on a paper or on a.
Or buildings that the architects wished they looked like, but their client decided that it wanted some big dome on it or something.
Yes, we're actually working with Softy Architects on something exactly like that. So that'll be revealed a little bit later.
Is there any other questions for Ken? Okay. Oh, surprised myself.
Hi, Peter Redshaw from Modular Building Developments Limited. Interested in how you see this working socially as a improving democracy, access to social services and things like that. It's a huge application for metaverse there.
Yeah, there is. I think the metaverse, look, there's over a dozen ones built with Unreal Engine that I know of. They all have different values and capabilities. But some of them are just trying to take like this experience and make it virtual, right? So ability to sit down and talk to someone. There are tools like Surreal Event is one I'm thinking of right now that lets you do that exact kind of experience. So the idea that you can use a virtual space to have a social interaction, I think is workable. I think there's a compromise, of course, to a physical event, but there are other compromises with physical events, like getting there. So the idea that you can bring people together, have a social engagement of some level, is all proven. I think that using it for therapy is proven. For decades, people have been using VR for various psychoses. There's a long list of research there. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thanks very much, Ken.
Thank you all again.